Well, now it's time to turn our heads to Russia here on the U.S. Report. And joining me now to discuss the latest in dealings between Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, and Vladimir Zelensky is Russian-born former U.S. intelligence officer and author of the book Putin's Playbook, the latest intelligence insights from the battlefronts, Rebekah Koffler. And Rebekah, by the way, has another book coming out very soon called Trump's Playbook. And that's going to be released in Australia by Wilkinson Publishing a little later this year. Rebekah, thank you so much for joining me. And I want to start with the big news this week about the U.S. and Ukraine agreeing on the terms of a minerals deal to compensate for the billions of dollars of wartime aid President Biden sent over in the last administration. You, I think, flagged this coming the last time you were here on the program. Tell us the latest and what the shape of this looks like for the prospects for ending this war.
Sure, but I would like to bring some reality into this project because the rare earth minerals deal is just one of the aspects of Trump's multidimensional game, if you will. He's playing the great game both with Putin and with Zelensky to end this, as he said, ridiculous war. He wants to stop the bleeding both of Ukrainians, and he wants to stop the bleeding and the depletion of U.S. weapons arsenals, which has depleted to very dangerous levels at this point. So Trump is trying to strike this deal on the rare earth minerals, but the quiet part that nobody has said yet out loud, that Ukraine does not have many rare earth minerals. You can check that with the U.S. Geological Survey. Ukraine, and I quote from the Geological Survey, is not known to hold any reserves of the main rare earth elements, which is basically 17 metals that are used in tiny quantities in semiconductors, high-speed electrical engines, and the like. Ukraine has none of those. So what the deal is likely about is the non-rare minerals that are considered to be critical. It's lithium, uranium, gallium, titanium. So Ukraine has the Europe's largest deposits of lithium, but the thing is that most of those deposits reside in Russian control areas. So Zelensky, again, he has proven himself not only as a dictator, as President Trump said, and someone, a con artist, basically, who has been playing Biden as a fiddle. He is trying to trade something that he doesn't have at this point. So President Trump and his team are going to be very tough negotiators with this guy. But what I assess is coming based on my intelligence analysis is that the deal is going to likely be conducted with Putin. Not only Zelensky is trading something he doesn't have, he also has no authority to conclude any deals on behalf of Ukraine because he's an illegitimate leader right now. His presidency expired in May of this past year. This is exactly why President Trump is pushing him to hold elections. So a lot of moving parts here. We're watching this, but it's not going to take 24 hours or even a couple of months. It's going to take longer. Let's give the master of the art of the deal some time to untangle a lot of these knots here and make the best deal possible with the appropriate person.
So all of this sort of appearance of Zelensky coming to Washington to sit down with Trump to sign a deal, this, you're saying, is really kind of a smoke and mirrors proposition, and we shouldn't actually be taken in by this. There's a lot more happening kind of behind the scenes on this.
Exactly. I mean, we know that with President Trump is a very unconventional leader, right? And he's a master negotiator. And what that means is that he needs to keep all the parties engaged, but he needs them to calm down. Zelensky has been trying, by speaking to the media, he is basically undermining President Trump's position. The Europeans are also all alarmed because they haven't been included in the talks in Riyadh when the U.S. team met with the Russian team. So Macron has been, the French president has been conducting emergency meetings. President Trump is trying to calm everyone down, right, to calm all the tensions. So he has held 3 critical meetings this week. He met with Macron. He met with the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer to explain his strategy. He's meeting with Zelensky on Friday, but he needs time. He can't be, calming everybody down like children. He needs to actually work on that deal, and that means everybody needs to simmer down and let him work his magic.
But, Rebekah, will Europe, to the extent that they have a say in this, and in fact, the world, will they countenance the idea of some sort of deal that lets Russia keep some of the territory that it conquered when it invaded Ukraine a couple of years ago?
Europe is irrelevant at this point, at least in terms of this particular deal-making. Why is that? The Europeans had a decade to prepare for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. As I may have mentioned on the show, I personally briefed the Obama administration's White House. I briefed the European Command. I briefed NATO in 2013, just months prior to Putin's invasion. And I explained to the 28 nations at that time in Brussels, Belgium, what Putin's mindset was, what his plans were, Russia's warfighting strategy. The Europeans chose not to step up to the plate and not to beef up their force posture, not to transition their military-industrial complex on a wartime footing in order to be able to produce sufficient quantities of weaponry needed to prosecute that war, even though it's a proxy war. So as a result, the NATO the NATO chairman himself, Rutte, just acknowledged that Russia is now producing in 1 month more military hardware than the entire NATO alliance is making in 1 year. So Trump is a realist, and the Europeans have no say in this. They need to start boosting their defense contributions to 5% of their GDP so that they can actually be a formidable deterrent force to Putin. Right now, they're not a deterrent. This is exactly why Putin has invaded. So, no, they don't have a say at this point.
Rebekah Koffler, thanks so much. And, I do remember in Obama 2014 telling Europe pretty much exactly what you just told me, and I suspect your briefing may have had something to do with that. Shame they didn't listen. Rebekah Koffler, thank you so much for joining me, as always.